Pakelele yake tafadhali. Kelele ya Chemutai. Select Steve. Alafu hivi. Ama weka mkono juu, weka mkono juu kila mtu bounce kidogo. Select wewe. Another one. Twende tena. Weka mkono juu. Alafu rudisha pole pole. Let it go.
Niokoke ndo niwashe jiko. Siko kwa kanaliti juu niko rito. Ulimi bado ripe risasi zipo. Mistari bado kali na mizani zipo. Sinati simu kama haiko. Rudia mara twice. Kati chini za koni na chani proti. Subiri usichizidi. Two fingers in the...
Weka.
Sinde madon mo end. Class in session my only job. Hey, only some boys no L. Stand up, sit down. Nina jeshi za Dominion. Hini gift, ya kona opinion. Hini skill, ya kona ninion. Kani kumanga niko fit mamkuli. Kani kumada mindio pista jui. Energy na keep kamuvi. Buzz na sentence hadi watoi nitajuvi. Punchlines, don't you. Kani kutema ulimi kitongi. Manu the best niko ligi ya soni. Kani ambition, ufiki kimoli. Check it ready. Nimeleta kudema. Lazima ninge kill hini game.
Jehovah, you say it. I trust in you. There you are. Oh Lord, Jehovah, I trust. Say it. I trust. Show me how to do it, y'all. In you. I believe. Say it. I believe you. I trust. Come on. In you. Oh Lord, Jehovah, you. Come on. I trust.
Generation within call for to show His excellence. Hey, all I require for life, God has given me, and I know who I am. We are a chosen generation within call for to show His excellence. All I require for life, God has given me, for I know.
And that is the energy at the ZTech University where we are standing, to have a very big conversation this evening. We'll be talking about matters to do with health, mental health. We'll be talking matters to do with depression and saving the young people. That is the conversation that we are going to have in the next 1 hour, 30 minutes. But at ZTech University, we have the full energy to get you to even in the past 1 hour, 30 minutes. We'll be talking everything you need to know about the worrying statistics of young people being depressed, the worrying statistics of young people getting into depression. What is the way forward? Which is the gap that we should cover so that we can close the loophole and have young people saved in this generation? That is the conversation that we'll be having shortly, right? And we are coming to you live from ZTech University right here in Ruiru. Remember, we are coming live at Kirk TV Kenya, and we are streaming live on Facebook at Kirk TV Kenya, YouTube at Kirk TV Kenya. That is where you can also follow this particular conversation that we'll be having in the next 1 hour, 30 minutes. But all the same, we have an audience that we'll be talking to and also seeking to find out what they will be talking about in regards to mental health and the depression and everything to do with the young people and their lifestyle. That is the conversation we'll be having. On the other side, I have the audience, on this other side, yet another audience, and then here I have my panel. I will be talking to them shortly, but before that, I want to engage with my colleagues that are still in between, the audience, and get a word from the student, from the young people on what they expect this particular evening. So I want to cross over to Faith, who is seated among the students, to tell us what we expect from this and also what the young people here are expecting from this particular discussion. Faith, it's up to you now to tell us what is happening on the other side.
Well, thank you so much, Sambu. Indeed, the young people in this auditorium are quite energetic. Sitting among them danced, but I'm still catching my breath, either because my age has advanced or I need to work out. I will find out in a few. But what has brought us here tonight, definitely the big conversation is the youth troubled. We are going to hear from the audience as well, of course, from your panelists, who we will introduce in a few. Right about now, let me ask a few people here, what do they think? Vijana, are they troubled?
Yes.
Why?
There's some situations that are affecting students and young people at this moment and this point.
Right. Thank you so much. And the youth are troubled. Probably, definitely something you should consider. What about you? What do you expect to hear tonight?
Yes.
Just anything. Of course, the dancing has been amazing. Do you expect more dancing?
Yeah, I expect more dancing.
What else from the big conversation tonight about young people?
I expect to learn maybe more.
Thank you so much. Sambu, just to mention that statistics show that 1 out of 4 people who seek general health care have mental health issues, showing how it is important for us to have this discussion, and that young people who are drug addicts or abuse drug in one way or another are highly likely actually to experience mental health issues, just to show how important it is to intertwine these two topics, drug abuse and mental health as well. Just to hear from one person before I hand it over to my colleague. Tell us, what do you think? What do you expect first of all from tonight? And do you think the youth are troubled?
Yeah, what I think the youth are troubled this generation because so for me, because they are troubled, more of them they give it comes from the peer pressures. Others it comes to fit in this generation, which is what I'm expecting today is that we get more expansion on the thinking, on the experience about to go talk to them, to encourage them, and to bring them out of the addictions.
The audience is very expectant, Sambu. Just one more person, just to ask, have you ever sought mental health care? Is that something you foresee yourself doing as a young person?
Probably in the future.
All right, thank you so much. Indeed, let me right now hand over to Dennis, who is on the other side. Tell us, what is your audience seated on that side expectant? What are they hopeful to hear tonight?
Well, thank you so much, Faith Kaulu. Thank you so much, Chris Sambu, for having this conversation. This is a big conversation that we'll be having right here in this auditorium of ZTech University. Actually, I believe that this is the right thing that we're supposed to do to these youth who are actually seated right here. And just some of the other. I'm going to talk to them just to know what they expect before the session is over. Niaje? What do you expect before the end of this session?
I'm expecting to learn more things.
All right. Are you even aware of the troubled youth? Do you know of any way that youth get troubled? Maybe suicide cases, depression, and maybe drug abuse, substance.
Yes, I saw many people, but going through these situations. So I know after this conversation, I can encourage them how to deal with them.
All right, Sambu, let me just cross over to some of the youths who just sat here just to get the whole picture of this session before the end of it, actually, before you unmask everything that is actually disturbing the youth. We are the troubled youth. That's the topic for tonight, right?
Definitely.
Right. You are aware of the troubled youth. Do you know maybe some of the things that youth maybe go through?
Well, I would like to begin by saying, true, everyone is troubled, and specifically the youth which we are here today, I believe that we will tackle. Yes, so yes, the youth are troubled.
All right. Now, macha nizungumze na mrembo kidogo.
Poa.
Are you aware of how youth maybe get troubled?
Yeah, most of them are troubled and they hide it in memes. Yeah, so I'm really hoping we'll get a way to help them maybe through the talk.
Somewhere you heard it just right from the horse's mouth. We are a sad generation behind memes. Now, Sambu, over to you as you take us through the troubled youth. Thank you.
All right, Dennis Monet, thank you so much, and also Faith Kaulu for getting this, expectations from the young people and what we expect to hear this particular evening, because it is the big conversation on Kirk TV that we're bringing you live from ZTech University. The next 1 hour or 30 minutes, we'll be talking matters to do with mental health. We'll also be talking about suicide, depression, and how we can save the young people from this particular menace. Statistics indicating that the rise in mental health cases has increased. The government doing so much, but we are yet to fight this monster. But what again should we do? What are the that we should close so that we can be able, to overcome this monster? That is the conversation we'll be having. So much expectation from the young people on what they want to hear this evening. So wherever you are watching us from, welcome aboard as we seek to educate and inform you, and also open up on issues that for long have been kept as a secret. But today we unmask every aspect of mental health. My name is Chris Sambu, and welcome as we have this conversation. I will just get into the conversation as I introduce the people that I have to have this conversation this particular evening. And there's a very rich panel right here with me, starting with the Vice Chancellor of ZTech University, who will be making his remarks shortly. And I just want to welcome you so that you can invite us in this particular premises and also make your remarks and tell us what is your expectation this evening, and even talk to the young people that have sacrificed their time to be here. Bwana Vice Chancellor, karibu sana, so that you can welcome us to this venue.
Thank you very much, the host. Good evening, everyone. I'm delighted. My name is Professor Jenga Munene, the Vice Chancellor of ZTech University. I'm Presbyterian, so I feel very much at home with Kirk TV. It is the station of my church. I'm a commissioned church school teacher, so and a member of the Presbyterian Men Fellowship. So I'm a full member of the Presbyterian Church, so I'm very, very proud of this television channel. But let me say a few things. First and foremost is to welcome the Kirk TV team, led by the director, and all the people who are participating in this very, very key discussion. But let me, before I go there, say a few things about ZTech University. ZTech University was started in 1999, a combination of the word zenith, that's at the top, and technology. Many people ask, what does ZTech mean? So ZTech means Zenith Technologies, but it's abbreviated. And we received a letter of interim authority in 2014, and in April this year, we were inspected by the Commission for University Education, and we hope to be chartered in the next few days. So that is a great milestone. We hope that will be chartered in the next few days. The Commission for University Education has already approved and recommended to the President of the Republic of Kenya that we get chartered. And therefore, I want to congratulate, first of all, my team for working so hard and ensuring that the university is growing. I think that deserves a clap from the students. In 2016, we got the graduation of the first degree students, and in 2017, we did admit the first cohort from government, the Kenya government. This year, we got very many students who had chosen us as first choice from what we call competitively placed students, and we also thank the government for that collaboration. We launched our first MBA program this year, and we are happy that there are students who are almost finishing their coursework. And this same year, we increased the number of programs with 10 degree programs, bachelor's program and a master's program. This same year, we were accredited as an Oldeo Center by the Commission, among the 4 universities so far who are accredited in this country to offer all programs through the online platform. And therefore, we have a lot to boast about. But one of the things I would like to say is that our core values, one of the things we are very, very emphatic about is the issue of integrity, commitment to excellence. And that is seen from the time you enter the gate to the time you leave. We always like people having what we call a ZTech experience. You come here and we want it to be memorable. And that's why students who come to ZTech University always end up coming back. Those who are doing certificate end up doing diploma. Those who are doing diploma end up doing degrees. And interestingly, this year, during the Alumni Association meeting host, I met a mother whose son is here. She studied here and the mother is here. That is a true mark of confidence. We are very careful about innovation. We believe in customer care and teamwork. One of the things that makes ZTech very, very attractive is the fact that we also use a trimester system. So it takes a very short time to finish your degree here. We give first-class quality facilities, and you can see for yourself. This auditorium represents how ZTech is, whether it is at the back or it's at the front. And therefore, we are very, very proud of this university. There's timely completion. There's a vibrant student experience. And these students, by the way, Anka, I can tell you one thing. These people win trophies. This year alone, in the KUSA competition, they have won 17 trophies. And during the drama festival the other day, they came literally with all the trophies home. So I have a very vibrant team. It's not just the dancing. so it's something that you would really appreciate. And I would like to say one or two things before I come to the academic issues, and say something about the competitiveness of our students. These students, for example, in 2022, crowd computing, our student became #1 and #2 in the national finals. When it came to the African Telecommunication Union Challenge in 2021, we were rated among the top 10 universities in Africa. ZTech University was rated as #1 when it came to use of library facilities, online library facilities by Chris. And the competition was being analyzed by Emirate of South Africa. ZTech was also ranked #3 by Kenneth in use of Kenneth resources. And let me tell you, 2 weeks ago, we were #3 globally in competition for cybersecurity. and the only one in Kenya to participate in that competition. So our students make us very, very proud. The other thing is that our women team emerged top in Kusa Games in 2021, and Christine Akinyi and Cameron Akumu were rated as the most valuable players in the women sports. So it's something we are very, very proud about. But let me say a little bit about what is ZTech doing in academics. First, we have 3 schools. This university has 3 schools. We have the School of ICT, Media and Engineering, which have many programs. Then we have the School of Business and Economics and School of Education, Arts and Social Sciences. I would recommend, because there are very many programs, that I don't go through them, but go to our website and you get the details of that, the programs we have. We have also made it very easy for people who want to apply for programs. You go to our website, we have introduced what we call Sajiri. And therefore, you actually register yourself. A very easy system where you can actually register yourself. You don't have to come here. You can register on your phone. Wherever you are in the country or globally, you can actually register as a student in ZTech University, just going through the Sajiri portal, and it is very easy to follow. I'm hoping that the students are aware of that, so that we are able to follow very easy things. And therefore, in summary, what we are saying is, if you want to have an experience that you not forget, both in interactions and your studies, then ZTech University is the right place. And I want to say this, today's discussion about mental health is so critical to us. We have one of the panelists who is our counselor, and I can tell you she works very, very hard to ensure our students are aligned. We take counseling as a very serious issue, and also we are very, very concerned about the issues that bother the youth. For example, lack of jobs. We train our students on employability. We have mandatory entrepreneurship classes so that every student who gets out must be able to generate their own jobs. You don't have to look for an employment. And that's why, for us, we are not concerned very much about whether you'll be employed or not employed. We also, by the way, associate very closely with the HR practitioners in this country to train our students on employability. And therefore, the fact that we encourage people to start their own businesses does not mean that we don't get concerned on issues of employability. Like last week, we hosted the HRM practitioners to train students on employability, and we are happy that a lot of our ZTech graduates get employed. We also have very wide collaborations with very many organizations, local and international, where our students get exposed on on-job practice. What exactly happens in the industry? Because we don't want these students to get out and they look blank. And I can tell you, those people who take our students from whichever course, they always say that they are very well trained. They are very disciplined. These students of this university stand out in the way they behave and the way they do their things. And I want to congratulate ZTech University students for who you are. Thank you for making us proud. So thank you very much. That is in brief what ZTech is about, and I wish the panelists a fruitful discussion, and pray to God that you remain centered. When we lose the youth, we lose our future. And therefore, to us, it's so critical that you remain centered. One, don't be far from God. Don't be far from God. Because when you are far from God, he gets away from you. And the devil likes feeding the void. So we don't want people who are not spiritual, because we know at the end of the day, human nature is such that you cannot stay without getting associated spiritually somehow. So you either get spiritually involved in the right things, or you get spiritually involved in the wrong things. And that's why I'm very hesitant to recommend growing cannabis. I'll be a very hesitant parent and a vice chancellor to recommend the growing of cannabis as a cash crop. I need somebody to convince me about the positivity of that, but I have no party affiliation. Our party is called AGIP, Any Government in Power. That is our party. It's ZTech University, and we are totally apolitical, and we believe that we shall work with any government, even whether it is Roots or Agano or the other ones. So thank you very much, and may God bless you, and you may have a wonderful discourse in this discussion. And let us have healthy youth, mentally, physically, socially, and in all aspects of your life. Avoid all extremes. Avoid all extremes. The Bible is clear. Avoid all extremes. Don't get yourself into trouble for things that don't make sense. Thank you very much. Asante sana.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bwana Professor Dr. Jenga Munene, the Vice Chancellor, ZTech University. Of course, a rare opportunity to speak to the larger students of this particular institution as well, and also to speak to the Kenyan young people. Thank you so much for welcoming us to this particular venue so that we can have this big discussion. It is the big discussion because there is worrying statistics indicating what might not be so much good in regards to what we should be as a nation. The World Health Organization defining health as not merely the absence of disease or infirmity, but rather a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. And that is our big discussion this evening. We'll be talking on how we can improve ways of getting our young people mentally stable, and also ensuring that most of them do not succumb to depression. Of course, that is the biggest monster that we've been fighting in the young generation. That is the kind of discussion that we'll be having. And just to welcome my panelists here in the venue, that is the people that will be talking about the topics of discussion in regards to the mental health, suicide, depression, and drug abuse among Kenyans. I'll just introduce my panel, and then before that, I want to release the Vice Chancellor so that he can be able, to rush somewhere he's expected, and then we continue the discussion. Maybe your last words, Bwana Visi.
My last word is first and foremost to thank Kirk TV for taking this initiative. One of the things I want to say is that a lot of youth can be saved simply by discussing what are the issues. A lot of time we take mental health for granted. As you note, the statistics are worrying. And our view is that what Kirk TV is doing is not only noble, but something that probably all other media houses need to take so that we cover the whole republic. I think one of the biggest challenges with mental health, unlike a broken leg, is not very easy to fix. Well, it's very easy to put a fracture on a fractured leg. Putting sense back to a head that has no sense is not an easy thing. And we pray to God that our men and women who make our future, who are the youth, they need to be taken care of. And it is us as the adults who have the total responsibility to ensure sanity in our kids. I'm sure any person who has seen a parent who is handling a challenged child or a challenged youth know how painful it is. So my view is that Kirk TV, what you are doing is extremely noble, and we ask that God continue to bless you as you go through this process of ensuring sanity in our youth. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Bwana Visi, and we can now release you so that we continue with the discussion. That is Professor Dr. Jenga Munene, who is the Vice Chancellor, ZTech University, leaving the venue where we are at the ZTech University Auditorium. Remember, we are coming to you live at Kirk TV Kenya, and we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at Kirk TV Kenya. You can follow this particular conversation on our social media pages. And just to get started into our big conversation on matters to do with mental health, suicide, depression, and drug abuse among the young people, I want to welcome the panel that I have here with me this evening. And on my near left is Julius Gitari. He's a counseling psychologist and also the director, KAPC. Welcome to this particular program this evening.
Thank you, Mana host.
And just to continue on the middle is Flash Mburu. Is an accredited KAPC counseling psychologist and also a mediator. Welcome to the program. And on the far left, just to introduce the panel that I have, is Wilkista Juma, is the lead counseling psychologist, ZTech University. Welcome to this particular program this evening.
Thank you very much.
All right, and that is the panel that I have here with me, and Ruiru OCPD, that is Cecilia Kemboi, was supposed to be part of this particular conversation, but due to unavoidable circumstances, she has not been able to make it here as well. And this panel would also be incomplete. We were supposed to have also Reverend Lucy Waweru, who is the PCA Director, Christian Education. But regardless, we proceed with this particular conversation, and just to bring you into perspective with what is our discussion this evening, the World Health Organization released statistics, worrying statistics of young people succumbing to depression, most of them suffering from mental health. And that is what is building our conversation this particular evening. The Kenya Mental Health Policy of 2015 to 2030, the policy is saying that 1 in every 4 Kenyans suffers from mental health in their lifetime. That translates to 12 million Kenyans who always need medical attention. As well, WHO, that is the World Health Organization, saying that the leading cause of disability worldwide, accounting for over 10% and a major contributor to the overall global burden of disease at 4.3%. Those are worrying statistics. And just to come to this particular conversation, I just want to begin with you, Mr. Gitari, about this particular conversation that we're having. Those are worrying statistics. How did we find ourselves here?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be in this forum. And to respond to your question, allow me to say that actually where we are is because there is a very, very long trend of lack of information, especially in regard to sensitization about the concept of mental health and awareness. And again, also because of the stigma that has always been associated with this, to an extent that now people decided now to withdraw from coming out publicly and talk about this kind of a stigma. And majorly, one of the major challenges we have is especially when it comes to issues to do with the mental health and awareness. There's a general fear that I would try to be associated with the mental illnesses simply because this affects my image. And as a result, people have run away from facing the reality. Then as a result of that, the situation has gravitated now to the situation where it is. Again, also the challenges that have been coming in the world without being fully addressed. When it comes to addressing, is a very, very small fraction of the people that are reached with the information. It has also created that opportunity for more people to go down in health. Yes.
And just to continue this discussion, just coming to you, Madam Flash, in regards to what he has talked about, having stigmatization of people coming out to talk about their state of mental health. Are these statistics worrying enough that we should be worried a lot?
Yeah, let me say the statistics are worrying. And let me even say, as much as the government is trying to support the mental health agenda, you realize that in the budget of the government, the budget is below 0.01 on mental health. That is not very nice. And like my colleague has said again, it's a bit stigmatizing. When you say you are going to see a therapist, people think you're crazy. You're going for counseling? Are you suicidal? Are you depressed? So we need to diffuse that stigma. And you can see a therapist because you need clarity on something that is not that serious, not that bad. Something that is disturbing you. You can see a therapist for anything. You don't have to be depressed. You don't have to wait until that point where you're getting depressed. And I think this is what we need to say out there, that it doesn't have to be that bad for you to come for therapy. So psychologists, the government, everybody needs to say it out there that mental health, when we say you are not okay, it doesn't have to be you are suicidal. That's when now you're going to see therapy. So yeah, that's my take.
You've interacted, with the young people. You've seen them come to you in regards, to what you should do to them, counseling and all that. She's talked about many of them not coming out clearly to explain themselves so that they can get the counseling that they need. Have you received some of them coming just generally to just tell you that I want counseling, I'm not depressed, but I just need counseling from you? Or what is the situation when you interact with them?
Okay, thank you. The first thing we do is sensitize them, make them aware of their mental health status. Because most of the time, they do not understand at what point they're supposed to come and see a specialist.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of us said, they think that you have to be mad. You need to remove your clothes and start walking naked. That is when you see a specialist. But the awareness we do makes them realize that if I feel this way, or if I see, or my friends are behaving in this way or this way, we are supposed to at least advise them or encourage them to go for counseling, and also to try and kill the trauma that people have. Telling them that we do a lot of trainings on mental health to tell them that it's okay not to be okay. Mm-hmm. You don't have to feel bad about it. The people make it like appear like you're going to see a muganga, a witch doctor. People go for counseling hiding. Mm-hmm. We tell them it is okay. Just go for counseling, talk to someone, and you'll be okay. Mm-hmm. So the sensitization and awareness.
And just remaining with you, of course, you've handled these cases, and you handle them more oftenly because when school is on, the university is having full capacity students. You've interacted with them, you've talked to them. What are some of the issues that you feel you should communicate now even to other younger people so that they can be able to know at this point I need to see a psychologist? From what you've interacted with, what are some of the issues that you would talk about for them to be able to come out?
There are many issues that affect young people, just like adults. We don't have a specific group that is maybe suffering more on mental health issues. Young people, they even carry issues from home, issues from their homes, be it finances, they bring them to school, be it GBV, gender-based violence, parents are fighting back at home, it's going to affect them here. Be it education or career choices, whereby a parent tells you, you have to do this course. Mainly because they didn't achieve, they were not able to get that A, that B. Now you get it, they want you to be that doctor that they didn't manage to be. So there are many issues. All the issues back at home, be it loss and grief. You've lost someone back at home, it will affect that student here. Be it just other psychopathological issues, disorders. People come to school, know that they leave their mental health back there. They come, maybe they have anxiety issues, they have depression, they come with those issues here, and they come and sought help, we encourage them to come. If they're going for medication, maybe for to see a psychiatrist, to be given medication, we encourage them to go and get those medication. So we have relationship issues, we have academic issues, we have issues that they carry from home, we have financial issues that affect them, we have suicidal tendencies for one reason or another. So there are many issues. Yeah.
And just coming to you, Madam Flash, you talked about the government, she's talked about some of them carrying the issues right outside the institutions of learning, such as this particular place where we are, and the government, setting a budget of less than 0.000, would say even 0.1. That is meaning that there is not enough money that is set, for this particular cause. Just trying to understand, have we as the government and the society, overlooked the young people as stakeholders, in building this particular ways of curbing the problem that we have on mental health?
Okay, I think we are getting there. The government is getting there, and other institutions are getting there, but not quite. What we don't understand is whether the youth is taken with the seriousness that they deserve. Because that's very important. This is tomorrow's future. And one thing that the government or any stakeholder who would want to promote the mental health of the youth, they need to understand is that what they go through is huge. It's deep. Sensitivity. I wish we were more sensitive about what they go through and how delicate they are. Because if people were aware about, let me just allow me to give a very brief whatever. Before you are 25, and I'm seeing most of them here are post 25. Before you are 25, you are a Magdala. That part that controls your emotions is not grown. So they go through so much, a myriad of emotions, fear, anxiety, relationships. They take relationships so seriously, such a big thing. So I wish we handled them with the delicacy that they deserve. Hence, once we understand the way they are wired, we'll invest more in their mental health. Yeah.
Bona Gitari, what do you think we should, which gap should we bridge so that we can fulfill what Madam Flash talked about, us putting a priority for the young people? What are some of the gaps that we need to close for us to get there?
Thank you very much. Now, let me go back a bit and clarify the things. Then I come to the gap, to the gap. Now, we need to first of all understand there is as we talk about the mental health, there's a lot of misunderstanding even in our nation. And actually, I'm very, very humbled to see that actually Kenya is one of the, from the international perspective, Kenya is one of the countries that is really fighting for the publicity and the sensitization about the mental health awareness. So from the onset, there is a very big confusion between the state of mental health, mental ill health, and the mental illness. Actually, what we are talking about here is not about mental health. Because when you are mentally health, it means that you are super functioning. And that's exactly the definition you've given us from the World Health Organization. And when you look at the World Health Organization definition of mental health 2007, when you are mentally healthy, it means that you are super functioning. You are highly functioning. And I believe there's a reason why the team in front of us, they have been able to clinch the grade for the university because they are mentally healthy. But because of the issue that have been listed here, now we come to the next terminology, that is mental ill health. With the stresses that our young people are going through because of course, the developmental milestones, the physical changes, the emotional changes, and the fact that even their personality has not fully stabilized at the age of 23 years, because the last part of the brain to develop is the decision-making component at the age of 23 years. So because of those kind of challenges that they are going through, then they get the normal stresses of life, as we'll be talking about now, depression and suicide. And as a result, they enter a state of mental ill health. The stresses that we encounter in daily basis now, we talk about the mental health. But when we talk about mental illnesses now, you can't, you are impaired in the way you are able to function, either socially, emotionally. You are affected 6 areas of your functionality. Philosophically, spiritually, physically, emotionally, socially, you are fully affected. And so I think now the topic that has brought us here should focus more on mental illnesses and the mental ill health. That is the way we need to anchor our points so that now we can be able to understand the matter very well. But talk about mental health, we are saying the people as well functioning. Therefore, we have got no problem. And we are the solution givers. Yeah, we are not victims of the conditions of body. So now, when it comes to bridging the gap now with those kind of misunderstanding, because as the papers have been published, the policies have been published by the government, when they talk about mental health, they are confusing a layman about mental health. When I'm mentally healthy, does it mean that I am naked, I can't feed myself? So we need to really understand that we are talking about the mental disorders and the mental illnesses. So the gap that we now need to be bridged is first and foremost to create that sensitization. When I look at my ward, where I come from, when I look at the budget that is allocated, much of the money is allocated for the bursaries. Much of the money is allocated to support SMEs. But there is no single coin that my MCA and my MP is given that is supposed to address is to do with the mental illnesses. And therefore, our youth are exposed to going to access 5,000 for the bursaries to go to the school, not to be able to manage mental conditions. So that's one the gap. Number two, there is also the challenge about now understanding about this kind of a situation. As when the body is sick, we are rushing to the hospital. The government has allocated money for the general illnesses, general health condition. When our soul, our spirit is affected, we are rushing to the clergy. But when our mind is injured, then we don't have anybody to turn to. And this is the reason why now counselors are also being so much labored and labored in a negative way that when somebody has got a mental injury, they are supposed to rush to a psychiatrist, which again is a long notion. We should not be rushing to the psychiatrist because our condition started with stress. So there's not reached a point whereby now we need to go to take the psychiatric drugs. So we need first of all to see the counselors and psychologists because all the challenges that we are encountering, they are coming from three sources: domestic, social, and work. And therefore, the gap to be bridged very well is to know that all normal people, the challenges they encounter on this life, they originate from domestic setting, that's the family, and Flash was to be able to explore many challenges from domestic setting, broken relationships, parents have divorced, there is poverty, among other conditions. Some parents are abusing drugs. As a result, because monkey see and monkey do, then the children are able to incorporate this, and by the time they are reaching a certain age bracket, they head it knock. Then again, from social setting, and she also mentioned about socialization. When the relationship are broken, we are affected. During COVID era, we have gone through significant losses in life. Either it was the loss of aspect of self, the loss of relationship, loss of a treasured object, or loss of relationships. We encountered all those kind of challenges. And nobody, we don't have the capacity for counselors and psychologists to come and address those. So our dear young ones, they are still processing the loss. And remember, unfinished businesses, cannot die. They always look for a negative way. So the best counselors now, when we are injured, we have seen, is a bottle of beer, because the bottle will not condemn me. So that is the decision need to be done. Then again, from workplace. And I'm talking to you because you are from the phrase of work. When we finish up our university degrees and other academic qualifications, we have got that kind of hype. We are very enthusiastic to get the job. The same job that we're looking for, we enter when we are physically fit. The challenges of work, again, now take us down. We start developing mental ill health. Finally, we develop mental illnesses. You enter when you are physically fit. By the time you are leaving, you are leaving because, not even at the time of retirement, you are leaving because you are already sick. So you have become a psychiatric material that you need now to see a psychiatrist, not even the normal physician. So this gap needs to be done, to be bridged, and then of course the generational gap about the BBC, the born before computers, and the digital generation. We need to bridge that gap because again there is the big discrepancy among maybe other ideas that we can be able to talk about.
And we'll be coming back to, that particular point as we also seek to know what the young people have to say in regards to that. Of course, it's the bridging of the gap. We'll also be seeking to know what they have to say in regard to that particular bridging of gap. But we are going to take a very short break here on Kirk TV as we continue with this particular big discussion this evening. We are coming to you live from ZTech University, where we are having the conversation around the mental health. Of course, we'll be talking about the youth perspective. What do they have to say about mental health? That is what is coming shortly. But for now, we are taking a very short break. Stay where you are and keep on sending your feedback. We'll be sampling them, and also questions. We'll be answering them in the course of this particular discussion. We'll take a short break, and then we'll be right back shortly.
What's up, everybody? Stand up on your feet. Stand up on your feet one more time. Watu wa South Africa, nasikia mnaendaga pahali mnakuja na crop. Simama, everybody, stand up on your feet. Come on. Najua mnaandika notes. And then I want you to go like this. Upper. Everybody, let's go. Simama, tunaongoja. Kila mtu, bado. Hey master. Muko tayari? Hey master. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Alafu tunakoroga. Pole pole tu. Alafu hebu tujaribu kuzunguka na 1, 2, go, twende. One more time, one more time. Alafu nishikie tu hapa tu, hapa tu. Alafu twende shopping. Shopping. Tubaki hapo wa mapiano. Weka. Alafu tupisha twende beach. Don't you see the way I get down, I can't sing it with my God, I love to talk pressure. When I'm singing praise to my God, alafu na yakatukando twende. Amefanya vitu twende, siwezi kukataa. Neno wake umenigusa. There's no other kind of love. Amefanya vitu siwezi kukataa. Neno wake umenigusa. Alafu sasa nataka twende hapa. Again. Geuza twende. Geuza twende. Again. Alafu twende. Ini dansa kanisa. Oyo. Ini dansa kanisa. Dansa kanisa. Inama nyuma. Shika rapa. Shika kamba. Shika wewe. Alafu twende chini twende.
Kombolewa na damu yake.
Nimekombolewa na Yesu aliyenirehemu. Ndio sasa nyingine twende. Kwa bei ya mauti. Osha mental health. Tunaambiwa ni mental illness. Alafu again. One more time. Alafu twende. Wacha. Twende. Let me see. Hey, Steve, let it go. Onyesha mwenzako hizo ndio vitu tuliwacha. Kuna marafiki tulishaachana na wale malabu kuja sana. Ile ya kitambo mnakumbuka? Weka mkono nyuma twende. It's for real, bro. Keep it from me at the top of the field, we on the spinning. All the people talking about it, cause it's official when it comes to being at the soul is starting. Come on, representing Jesus Christ to the fullest. This is Kubaka. God, take it to it.
Jesus to the fullest.
Come on. I love you. Osha. Alafu weka mikono hapa juu.
Wakati wa Mungu umpata kila mtu wewe wanasubira wakati wa
Steve mwambie jambo twende tuchekiane baada. Wakati wa Mungu. Thank you so much.
Representing Christ Jesus to the fullest.
All right, and that is the energy at Zitech University. Of course, even if we are seated here, we can feel the energy. I don't know if you can feel the energy, and also wishing if you could stand and just shake some of. Yeah, and that is the energy right here on Zitech University as we, talk on matters to do with mental health. Of course, that is our discussion this evening as we seek, to chart ways forward and what we can do, which gap can we bridge, and that is the point that we were talking before we took a short break. But of course, the young people have their own perspective of how they view things, what is troubling them, it is only them that can speak. Remember, we are coming to you live from Zitech University. I've been checking and seeing some of your many feedbacks. We'll be reading them out live here from Zitech University, so keep on sending them. But right about now, we talked about, bridging the gap and what is affecting the young people, and just to get the perspective of what they feel should be addressed and what they feel should be the gap that to be bridged. Just want to look for one of my colleagues, Faith, wherever she is, so that she can tell us what do the young people think about, what do the young people feel about this particular session, and what do they want to hear from the panelists to be addressed as the way forward, in resolving this issue that has for long taken the lives of the young people. The statistics worrying and showing that the rise in the number of people, and the number of young people who lose their lives due to mental health is increasing. So what can we do? I just want to cross over and just get a glimpse of what the young people have to say. If my colleague Faith Karoli, you can get us clearly and up to speed with what the young people saying. Right, and we'll be just coming shortly to her as she, seeks to talk to the young people, and just to introduce one of our panelists who has just come in as we continue this discussion. Of course, it's an important discussion, and I know she had to arrive even if it's 10 minutes late. Welcome, Reverend Lucy Waweru, as a PCA Church Director of Christian Education. Welcome to this particular discussion. And we are glad to have you as you also seek to, help the young people understand their problem and also resolve what, has been for long troubling them. And I just want us to, just talk a little bit of this discussion, even as we go back to the young people and get their get what they feel should be addressed and what is the issue troubling them. Of course, there is so much to talk about when it comes to bridging the gap. But again, I just want to come to you, Madam Flash. You talked about creating an environment where the young people can be able to express themselves and also, can feel being prioritized. Is that what the society is doing now, even to help the young people, fight what is inside them?
Well, let me say the answer is yes and no. In this aspect, let me start by family, which is the basic. There are some parents whom the bulb has switched on and they've realized, I need to dialogue with my kids. And especially at the age of 14 upwards, I am a huge campaigner of listening to young people, actively listening. And I think parents who have youth, teenagers, from 14 up to 20s, I don't think they listen to their kids enough. Allow me to call you guys kids. I don't think they are heard. There are some parents who are still in that generation of, I said, mimi ndiye mzazi, nimesema. But I think we are at that point where we need to understand that these kids are brainy, they have an opinion, and they have a right. So gone are the days when you've said. Sometimes say something, and your child, because I'm assuming you brought them up well, they will tell you, but mom and dad, I don't think this is going to work. How about? So before you shut them down, listen. You'll be surprised how they'll come with a brilliant idea. But when you shut them down, the next time they are going through something or they have an opinion, they are not going to tell you. They are going to wallow in self-pity, and it is a journey that goes downhill. And that's why you are seeing most of these young people, if you actually ask them, where did all this start? They were not being heard by the basic caretaker, the most important caretaker, who is the parent. If only we listened to them, we would save a lot of mental issues with these people. Yeah.
You talked about or rather their parents talk about, you've said that if a parent gives them an advice, say, they also have some sort of right, to speak their mind, so that that can save them from this particular menace. But I just, before we cross over and listen to what the young people have to say in regards to the same as well, I just want us to understand, where do we draw the line, of course, on, disobedience and, speaking your mind so that you can let out what is inside you for you to be saved in regards to mental health?
Okay, that's a very good question. If you have brought up your child well, it means you have brought them up to know that they can always tell you and they can always challenge you with respect. In other words, you are not being disobedient, you are not being hard-headed, Sio urui. We are having a discussion, we are having a dialogue, and if you have to challenge me, we are agreeing to disagree. You're just telling me respectfully, Mom, I don't want to go for that wedding because I'm going to get bored. Honestly, Mom, what is the value of me coming to that wedding? That's a valid question. vis-a-vis me telling you, go for the wedding, na nimesema, I have said. Now that's not fair. So with boundaries, again, we always tell them with boundaries. Even when they come for counseling because they have issues with their folks, we get to understand, did you cross boundaries? And that's why your parent was upset. Or were you asking respectfully? Yeah.
So we want to find out whether that is what they exactly do. And I'll be crossing over to Faith Kaulu wherever she is so that, she can talk to us on what the young people think about this particular issue. And what is the perspective on that? Faith, if you can get me, just talk to the young people and let us know what are they saying about this discussion.
All right. Thank you, Sambu, very much. Seated with the audience, I must say that we are learning a lot. I like what Julius Gitari said about, mental ill health. That is what indeed we are here to discuss about. And just to put it out there that I may not be able, rather me and my colleague as well, to move to each and every person and give them the microphone. So if you have a question, you can note it down and then pass it over to us. We'll be able to put it forward. Something definitely that the young people are wondering is why your panel is not standing up to dance with us. But anyway, talking about what the youth are expectant, any questions they have, we are going to hear from them. Any questions they have, you can put forward. First of all, are you learning a lot? And then what question do you have?
Okay, thank you very much. Of course, I'm learning a lot and I'm grateful for this event. I would like to ask that I've heard from one of our panelists that mental health have got some of the, there are some drugs. I would like them to tell us, or rather to give us some prescriptions on those drugs. At the same time, I would like them to explain to us what are some of the disadvantages of those kinds of drugs.
Very good question right there. Of course, there are drugs. What are the disadvantages with that? Any question you might have?
Okay, I want to congratulate the speakers first for what they have said, that the youths are passing through many things in life. And the background of it is that you can understand that there are family issues, the way Madam said. But my question is that, sometimes reading these people to come to share their problem is a great challenge. So how can we help our friends who are passing through problems so that they can come out and share what they are passing through in life?
Okay, how to help a friend who is going through a lot so that they are able to open and share their problem. There's a question I received here. At what point do you consider yourself mentally ill? And at what point should one take medication? At what point do you consider yourself mentally ill? At what point should one take medication? One more question from the front. Anyone? Okay, I'll pick randomly.
Okay. My question is, I'd like to ask the panelists to give us the remedies on how to overcome those challenges as youth.
Thank you so much. Such a great question. Remedy on how to overcome the challenges. I'm receiving a lot of questions. I can see you writing as well. Thank you so much for questions. Let me hand over to Dennis Munene, who will also tell us from his end. Are there any questions?
Well, thank you so much, Faith, for this opportunity, and Chris Sambu, and also the panelists who are just right here to discuss with us the matters youth and mental health and drug and substance abuse. Now, with me, I have just some youth besides me. I'll just get some of them, and of course, I also have a list down of some questions that have been posed to me by the audience. How are you? I'm good. Do you have maybe some questions about the ongoing session?
Yeah, I have a lot of comments. Yeah, I would first start with introduction. My name is Paul Martin. I pursue Bachelor of Education Arts and Social Science. And according to this matter, I have a question to I call them therapists, because they are much specialized in that matter. My question one comes to more explanation and clarification of this code: mental health, mental ill health, and mental health awareness. Closely related, but as different, distinct differentiation. If my wish, you could come up and explain more and how they relate. Number two, depression is a code that comes in with the close relationship with mental ill health. When you are mentally challenged, as in you have a problem with your emotions, psychological, or how you socialize with your guys, this will bring about what you treasure in your heart, and it will result to depression. That's my question 2. Question 3, the code of the strategy that we must follow as youth, because you will find most of us are much depressed, and we have a lot of challenges with our mind set up and our skills and emotions, but we can't really address them to the therapist. Meaning we have some hidden cause that make us to isolate ourselves towards them. So I would rather advise you explain for us the protocols or how we can overcome the challenges concerning the drug abuse and the concern of the suicidal facts.
Thank you so much, Chris Sambu, and that's just one of the youth around here. And I'm just going to just brush off so much briefly on some of the questions that have been posed to me, and I'll read them just exactly as they are. So there's the notion of it's okay not to be okay. We've seen mostly in our social media handles whereby mtu anapost anasema it's okay not to be okay. They would just kindly want you to address that issue. The second question, we would love to hear what the politicians have in store in their manifestos on mental health and specifically the youth. The next one is, life is already bitter. People have accumulated pain and grown to getting used of it. How do you solve this? We are a painful generation, but hiding into things because we are used to them. Finally, what can you advise a person who is mentally ill, like depressed, but finds no comfort in addressing the issue because he or she feels that no one can understand them? Remember, our generation is very judgmental, and it goes down to even the family and the mental counselors. Please advise. Thank you. To you, Sambu.
All right, thank you, Dennis. I think those are so many questions coming in. Faith, do you have any other question that you can, address even? Or rather, you can read them and then bring them forward, at least for them to be answered all.
All right, just to maybe finalize this first session, Sambu, I'd like to encourage the audience that their voice does matter, so they should not shy away from asking the questions.
Definitely.
Here's a question I have. How do we overcome the problem of fear to approach the counselors because of their attitude, which is not pleasing, and their responses to us? And then, here is another question. If the government budget is still below 0.01 up to this time, and mental health has been there before, what are some of the strategies we'll use as youth to pressurize the government to at least concentrate on this issue? Because we're also willing to lay out these programs, but there is sufficient funds to facilitate this activity.
I'm Celestine Kemunto. I'm taking a bachelor's in business information technology. I chose ZTech because, first of all, ZTech has been ranked among the best in ICT, and I thought it will be best. It will be best for my course. First of all, there are so many ICT labs in ZTech University, which enables students, mostly those who are pursuing IT courses, to get to know more about their courses, of which the labs have so many computers which have Ethernet, which is easier for them to browse. If I were given a chance to choose another university, I'll definitely choose ZTech University.
Apply today. ZTech University. Invent your future.
Welcome to Pimaya Motors Mombasa, dealers in new and used Japanese, German and European cars. We have all varieties from saloon cars, matatus, buses and trucks. All our prices are currently discounted. Contact us today for the best deal on 0725 725 319, 0738 111 228.
Going around schools with other partners, Kubamba, hi, watu wetu pia partners, and we also have One Hope who have actually done a survey recently, which I would want to recommend for all of us to, look out for and read, the GYC report, the Global Youth Culture Report, which has revealed many, many issues that are affecting young people. But just to say that, going around the country, right now we are in Eastern region, we have come to realize how burdened our young people are. And now from where I sit as a pastoral leader, our young people are seriously burdened souls. They are burdened, they are weighed down. From questions of identity, who I am, questions of, religion, relationship, and all these things. And what I can say is that even as faith leaders and faith organizations, we need to create, safe spaces. We have a role to play, and that's why we're saying, like Christian education, we are reaching out. Actually, young people are yearning for someone to reach out to them because they feel rejected, they feel misunderstood, they feel like they don't fit, and therefore they're yearning for someone to reach out to them, and that's what we are doing. So we are reaching out and also creating safe spaces where young people can freely discuss the issues that are troubling them, and as we all together explore the possible solutions, because there are solutions to these problems. So they're not beyond repair, they're not beyond reach. There is a solution out there. It's only that connecting the young person with a solution and with someone they can trust in the middle, organization they can trust, that's maybe where we have a trouble. Be it a parent, a school, a counselor, a therapist, a politician. I mean, all of us, we are in this. Thank you.
Before I even come, I just want to come to you, Will Kestam, because you've had the questions that have been raised, and I want you to address one of the questions that has been raised. Of course, we've interacted with these young people. You've seen their problems, you've heard them. But the question that was asked was the young people failing to open up because they are afraid of what you're going to tell them. They are afraid of your response to them. What would you answer that question?
Most of the time, when you've not gone for counseling, you can't understand what it's all about. Because most young people think the counselor maybe is going to handle them the way the parent she talked about, who's going to tell them, you know what, don't do this, I don't want you to do this, reprimanding them and all that. I think a counselor's approach is different. And being a lead counselor, if you cannot approach one counselor, it's good to report that maybe I don't like this. It's very natural. Like you just can't like every person. Sometimes you can look at her, maybe you think you don't like her for one reason or another. You don't like another counselor for whatever reason. That is very natural. Sometimes it's psychological. When you meet someone and you don't like them, maybe they look like someone that you didn't like sometimes as you're growing up. So we have a name for that in psychology. If say they go for counseling and they find that they don't like them for one reason or another, it's good to see another counselor. There are so many counselors that you can see. You don't have to see that particular one that you feel threatened. Yes.
And just the bottom line, if a young person feels that they are not comfortable in addressing this matter with this particular counselor because they feel they might give them a very harsh response or a harsh approach, what would be your advice to the young people, even as they want to seek a psychiatrist?
In institutions, apart from the counselors, the professional counselors, we also have peer counselors. And the peer counselors, it's easy for you to go, we train them. Like if you are not comfortable with the counselors that are there, you can go to a peer counselor and share with them. That's a colleague. That's someone that you can easily tell your issues, a student like you. But apart from that, we have counselors even out there. In universities, we have university counselors, and then we have counselors like you'd go to maybe his institution or where she practices, and you see that particular counselor. There are so many centers. That's why I talked about sensitization. So we inform them that if you're not comfortable with this, you can have option B. Yes.
Right, I think that is a well-answered question, and to satisfaction of whoever asked that particular question. And just coming to you, Flash, of course, there is so many questions that were asked, but I will pick out as well on almost all of them. There is someone who asked, at what point do I consider myself mentally ill? At what point would you advise young people that someone should consider to be mentally ill?
Okay. At the point where you feel you're not yourself, you're not eating, you're not sleeping well, you guys, when you say cheza kama wewe, at one point you're feeling huchezi kama wewe, you are not yourself. Even your friends are telling you something is off. Nowadays you're dull, or you want to sleep and you're oversleeping, you don't want to wake up, the sun shines, you love the sun, but suddenly you don't care. Something is off. Your grades are off, your mom is telling me, your buddies are telling you, and you feel that something is off. You are having headaches. Suddenly your body tells you, your mind tells you. I keep advising young people, listen to your body. Listen to your body. It is speaking volumes. The question is, are you listening? Also, observe your friends, observe your peers, because sometimes you are so into your problem, you actually don't realize you have not bathed for 2 days. You have no clue. Until your friend tells you, chick. That's how bad, by the way, mental health is, because you may not be aware how far gone or how far you are going until something brings it out. So, to answer your question, listen to yourself, the signs are there. And also be your brother's keeper, because they may not realize how far back they are going.
There was also another person who asked that if I realize that I'm not okay, what is the next step that I should take? What is the next step that I should take for me, to start the journey of becoming better?
Okay, if you realize you're not okay, so you have self-awareness, you've realized anyway, something is off. Talk to somebody. Don't keep quiet. There is nothing shameful about having a problem. She said it's okay not to be okay. Let me break down that cliche. When you come and tell me my boyfriend dumped me and I can't take it, I'm taking this very hard. You know what? You probably think I'm going to judge you because your friend told you, boy tu ndio anakustress. Haya, unakataa kula juu ya mtu. But you know what? The thing is, it's actually stressing you. And it can totally mess you up. And if you're not careful, that's how depression starts, by the way. Kitu kidogo tu, it becomes a big thing. You feel rejected. You hate yourself. He hated me because of my hair. Small things. Talk to somebody. Talk to a therapist. I like what Wilkista said. A qualified therapist, trained, professional, will not judge you. And for us, the therapist will tell you there is nothing petty. If it is a problem and you actually sought therapy, we take it with the seriousness it deserves. So to answer your question, speak to somebody, even if you can't get a therapist or you can't afford. Sometimes, by the way, we do it pro bono. We are not that bad. Speak to somebody. Speak to your reverend. Talk to somebody. Yeah.
I think that is important to note, that you should talk to somebody irregardless. And I just want to come to you, Guitar, in yet another question that has been asked. There was that question that was raised in regards to the clarification on mental health, and of course, if depression is part of mental ill health. That is a question that was raised. You would respond to that question for the purposes of the young person to understand, so that if at all someone mentions that, they can be able to know what exactly is being talked about.
Thank you for those wonderful questions. Now, I began by talking about the mental health. I said that when you are mentally healthy, you are super functioning and you are able to validate yourself. You are able also to contribute to your community. And this is a time you are able to maximize your potential. And we know myself, the potential is not what you've done, it's what you are yet to do. So you are able to maximize that. And when you are able to maximize your potential, you are able to accomplish the 7 basic human needs, beginning all the way from physiological to security needs, to esteem needs, to love and belongingness, cognitive needs, aesthetics, and all the way to self-actualization. Because you are mentally healthy. So you're able to accomplish the 7 basic human needs. Very important. And that's the time you can go to contribute to the society, because you move from the world of the ambition, whereby you are doing everything to benefit yourself, the point whereby you can be able to start to have a vision to touch another life. But along the way, then, when your psychological balance is affected, definitely because of either the biological factors, the inherited traits that we are having within ourselves, when our genetic makeup together with environmental factors interact in a negative way. This is the time now your psychological balance is affected, and therefore you say, even though I am not sick, at least I'm somehow disturbed. That's the situation now we are saying that is a state of mental ill health. Maybe you are here, even this panel, you don't have the fear to go back home. You are not mentally healthy. You are in a state of mental ill health. Probably you don't know where to go and lay your end after this. You are not mad. You are very okay. However, your psychological balance is affected. That's a state of mental ill health. And you don't need any medication at all, because it's a fear you are lacking, which tomorrow you get. Hey, together. It's just probably the onion you don't have in the house. You are not okay. It's the onion. You are not okay. So, and therefore you are thinking of now, as you try to really think of now on the alternatives, you stress yourself because there is a lack somewhere. It tips the balance against you. That's a state of mental ill health. However, when you reach the state of mental illness, you are it is a state of severe psychological pain and is suffering that an individual is not able to be functional either in the social settings, at workplace, or at home. So you are impaired. You cannot work. And this time now, the young people talk about amechizi. So the amechizi is derived from the word schizophrenia, the split mind. And it is at that particular point now, this particular person now was changed from being an asset to being a liability, because now you need help. And that's the point now. And you are seeing and hearing things which are not there. This is the point one even now required to go and see a psychiatrist. At that point, we don't see counselors. When you start seeing and hearing things that are not there, when you start having very negative beliefs which do not hold water, I look at you and say that you are bewitching me. And I stick there until you start also feeling disturbed. Then it is not okay. Things are not okay. That's a state of mental ill health. Those people now require to see a psychiatrist, not a counselor at all. I hope I've responded to the person who had asked the question.
You want to add something on that?
Yeah, on the same note, he's mentioning some symptoms that some people are wondering. You know, there's a very thin line between a psychosis and someone who's taken marijuana. So when you start having delusions and hallucinations and you've taken marijuana, we say sometimes you have drug-induced psychosis. Psychosis is madness. Do we use madness? Mental illness.
Yes, it's madness.
Yeah. So when you take marijuana, you develop some temporary insanity. That is why it's a rehearsal to madness. Yes, so that is why when you've taken marijuana, you find that you're having symptoms like that person. When we're doing mental health assessment, first of all, we check whether we're having hallucinations. Are you having delusions? Like he mentioned, delusions is when you start believing you're Jesus Christ. And you start preaching to people, you tell them things. We have different types of delusions. I felt like explaining that sometimes you don't understand the difference between the two. So if you take these drugs and you're experiencing the same signs that a person who has psychosis experiences, what does that tell you? It's rehearsal, yeah? Yes, so let's be careful about that.
All right.
So maybe I can also build something. Many cults in the world, and remember, as we talk about the young people, there is the issue about the Illuminati. They are built on the foundation of psychosis, because when you develop the delusions of grandiosity, you start seeing yourself as Jesus Christ or a prophet, and as a result, that's why we normally send out the division, the right. So we need to really understand what is happening in our mind. And also, as we fight to become heroes, because you came from a very, very humble background, you like to get the first class honors, sometimes you might end up also clashing your mind.
I think on that conversation, just coming to Lucy, there was a question that followed up on that of is it okay not to be okay? Because it's talked about, the hallucination, maybe someone was taken marijuana, then someone is asking, is it okay not to be okay?
Yeah, it's okay not to be okay, but as I said, you don't remain in that state. It's okay not to be okay, as my sister said, that when you feel off, you're not okay. When you're not functioning well, when you're not being useful, when you're not doing what you're supposed to, you're not okay. And it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to be in that state, but then what do you do with that? And I know we know scripture, and God envisioned that times will come in our lives when we will not feel okay. And that's why there are solutions given to us. I mean, come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I'll give you rest. And God has provided people, therapists, counselors, pastors, guardians, parents, teachers. God has provided all these networks so that when we are not okay, a solution can be sought. It's the will of God that we live well, we exploit our full potential. I'm reminded of Ephesians 2:10, we are God's workmanship. So the ideal status, the ideal person is a good person operating very well under the optimum. But things happen internally, externally, the devil and devilish issues, they happen, and others that are induced, like the marijuana and all those things, they happen, and we are not okay. But then we should not remain in that state.
Some of the people, just to remain with you,
Yes.
some of the young men or other young people would be questioning that I'm not a Christian, for instance, I'm not a religious person. So what is this I'm facing? Because I cannot run, to my pastor, or rather I cannot run to seek the spiritual salvation of what I'm facing. So they find a challenge, for instance, saying that I'm not saved, I'm not a Christian, so I cannot seek help of what I'm facing. What do you say about that?
I would say that as one of the panelists, my sister over there, said, if you're not comfortable with someone, somewhere, including your pastor, move on. There is another person available for you, provided by God. But I must say that, why we are swayed or taken by cults and such things, because there is an innate need, again, to connect to a higher being. And so it's not just for us Christians, whatever faith you are, go there. Go to your faith leader and seek help. But again, if you're not comfortable with that, because we know there have been problems that have come, out of young people seeking refuge, maybe in church, and they've been abused, which is really sad, But that doesn't mean that if there's a counterfeit, the original is not there, they are not true people. So if you're not comfortable for one reason or another, move on to the next level. And I've just said, we are full of networks, from pastors to trusted teachers, trusted friend of your parent, a trusted older brother, a cousin, a neighbor. I mean, all these people care. If only we could reach out. Help is available out there.
I think that is a good point to note, and I just want to come to you, Flash. There's a question that would follow that, and that was asked, if at all I may want, to save my friend who is mentally ill, of course, what would I do? What would I do? Someone is asking, for instance, I can see this person is facing a challenge, they are undergoing something. So for me, before they even speak to the psychologist, how can I help them? How can I help them?
Okay. Every human being wants to be loved. No doubt about it. Hata kama nani, everybody wants to be loved. And you will be surprised that just affirming that person and reassuring that person that I am there for you, you've got this. You got this. Sometimes that is all someone needs to hear. Because by the time you get to that point where you are hating yourself, you are depressed, because it's that point that you realize you're not worth living. I'm even a burden to myself because no one likes me, nobody cares. So as a friend, to answer your question, just reassure somebody that I am there for you. Even if nobody cares, I care. And that's why we are even having this discussion with you in the first place. That is first aid, and it does magic. Sometimes all you need is someone to tell you that they care. Yeah.
And just as we continue with that, there's a statement, because that question I'll be asking you. There is something that President Uhuru Kenyatta said, and he said that let us eliminate the stigma around mental health by actively supporting those in mental distress through offering a helping hand and understanding a shoulder to lean on. Just coming to you, Mr. Gitari, in regards to that, what does the stigmatization of someone who is facing, a bigger problem than they are, what role does this play, in derailing, the efforts that are being put to ensure that we save a person who is perhaps facing something that they may not be in control?
Thank you. Actually, I'll say that we normally say that the more the assumption, the more the suffering. And therefore, as people talk about fearing to go to seek for help, it's just a mental trap an individual is having. It's a mindset. Because one very important thing to understand about counselors is that at least they have got a very, very important attribute that really work magic for the clients. The attribute we are calling empathy, because empathy is about exchanging the seeing glasses. And when we talk about exchanging the seeing glass, it's whereby I know everybody is good. Everybody is good. The only problem is the behavior. Therefore, this person of the counselor, to a child, and a cockroach is an elephant. And that's why sometimes they refuse to step on that cockroach. But if me, the person of the helper, I start seeing a cockroach as an insect with the head, the thorax, and an abdomen, I'll think that my child, I'll start numbering the child, and calling the child coward. The counselors are able to move to the wound of the client, to put themselves in that shoe of the client, to understand the wound of the frame of reference of the client. So what is very important is to understand, even building on top of the leveling, that even God himself has got no problem with the sinner. He has got a problem with the sin. And therefore, the people of the counselors believe that every person is good. The only problem is their behavior. And the person is not the behavior. So this person who is fearing to seek help, let them understand that they are very good beings because they're in the image and the likeness of God. The challenge is the behavior they are portraying. And therefore, the person of the counselor focuses on eliminating this behavior so that at least now the person become now holistic. So the major challenge that now we need to do a lot of sensitization to be able to help the people to know that as we offer counsel, we are focusing, the being which has come to us is very good. Our concern is only the behavior. And so we consume behavior because the 5 goals of psychology is focusing on describing behavior, explaining behavior, modifying behavior, controlling behavior, and predictive behavior. So our concern is only the behavior. And it is the behavior that is affecting the person. When we eliminate that behavior, when we modify the behavior, the being is holistic. And holism, again, will capture 3 very important dimensions. You are not whole until you are whole, because when we get whole physically through the medication, then our soul is supposed now to be handled by the doctor, by the counselors. Then our spirit is handled by the clergy. And as a result now, healing is not complete until the 3 interventions are done. Spiritual interventions are very critical, psychological interventions, and then the medical dimension. And so building on top of what the Reverend has said is that at least the young people, they've got this spiritual anger. Actually, the spiritual anger is the reason many times they're entering those kind of challenge of taking the drugs. So let's remove this stigma by helping them to understand that even the whole word of God, Christ is called wonderful twice, wonderful counselor and the wonderful teacher. And therefore, the counselor has also the initiative to educate, instead of even counseling, to empower this person of the client who has come to seek help. Yes.
I think that is well put. And even as we come to the conclusion of this discussion, of course, it's a very long discussion that we can talk each and every time, because different things continue to evolve. Just coming to you, Madam Flasher, even as we conclude, what would be your final remarks, maybe just briefly on what we should do way forward for us to ensure that we have a well-put young people?
Okay, what I can tell young people is therapy is available. During therapy, confidentiality is observed. Any therapist who breaches confidentiality, we call it maleficence, and their license can be taken. So be sure confidentiality is going to be observed. The policy in Kenya on mental health says that you cannot force somebody to go for help if they don't want to. So you must, unless it is life-threatening. And that is why we encourage you young people, please volunteer to go for help. Don't wait until it is don't wait for depression, don't wait to get suicidal. There is nothing small for a therapist. There is no big problem in a small problem. If it is messing up your well-being, then it is a problem and we'll take it seriously. Yeah.
That is a very good statement to finish up this particular discussion. Just coming to you, what would be your final remarks? You've interacted with these young people. You've seen them, their character. You've seen their attitude towards, this particular matter that you are discussing today. What would be your final remarks on the same?
Okay, it's very important to check yourself. Know the symptoms that show that you have a problem. When you are with your friends and you notice something is not right, it is your responsibility to be your brother's keeper. Take care of yourself and take care of the person next to you.
And I think, Lucy, you would also make your final remarks as well in all aspects. And what would you speak to the young people as we conclude this particular discussion? And what would be your point of view for us, to bridge the gap as we seek to ensure that the young people are well?
I'll pick it up from where Mr. Gitari left about the dimensions that are very, very important. And I want to say that in a world that is becoming more secularized in very many ways, take care. Take care of your spiritual self. Take care. That's a very important pillar upon which everything else also builds. That's what I would say. And in Luke 2:52, Jesus grew in wisdom and in stature, having favor with God and with all people, with God and with the people. He grew holistically. He was healthy in all those dimensions that have been said there. But just a parting shot, and my encouragement, especially to young people, is that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And as I always say, God is still at work in your life. God is working out something good. We are here to see it. We have been told that potential is that which you've not yet experienced, is to come. And so you are work under construction. So don't give up too soon on yourself. Don't give up too soon when you face challenges along the way. There's something good. The world has not seen yet the final product that you are. So don't give up too soon. Don't run to drugs too soon. Don't run to the wrong places too soon. You are still work under construction. Be patient with yourself as you're being made at ZTech, at home, in your church, in your neighborhood. Be patient with yourself. You are becoming a great man, a great woman.
Right, I think that is so much powerful. Of course, Reverend Lucio Weru, PCA Director, Christian Education. Thank you so much for making time this evening for us to have this discussion. Wilkester Joma is the lead counseling psychologist of ZTech University. Thank you so much for also making time to have this conversation. Flash Mburu is an accredited KAPC counseling psychologist and also a mediator. Thank you so much for making time to have this discussion this evening. And Mr. Julius Gitari is a counseling psychologist and also the director, KAPC. Thank you so much for also making time for us to have this particular discussion. And that is where we conclude this particular discussion this evening. It was the big conversation in matters to do with mental health. Of course, a misconception on what is mental health has been clarified on what we can consider well and not well. That is where we wind up this particular discussion. Thank you so much for your feedback. It has been streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. There is so much that has been, coming in live, and I will not be able to read all of your feedback, but just to sample some of you. Mawera Ernest saying thankful. Most of the topics they are talking about the topic of discussion is very interesting. Let's keep moving on, and we are all in the quest to change the young people. And everyone is sending their messages of, saying that we are humbled that we had this engagement, and there is so much that we've been able to learn. So much messages have been coming in. Thank you so much for your contribution in this particular discussion, and we will be having yet another discussion as time moves on. But for now, we end it at this point. Remember, we have been coming to you live from ZTech University, from Kirk TV, as we seek to bridge the gap in rescuing the young people. My name is Chris Samo, but before we end, then we cannot end at that particular note, because we will also be ending on a musical note, and the young people were asking why you are not dancing. We'll be trying, this is your moment, because we are done with the conversation. I just want to cross over on the other side, to just know what the DJ has prepared for us in this final stage. And just to begin, thank you so much for making the crowd happy. But before we continue in the last piece, what have you learned from this particular discussion?
What I've learned? Well, I've learned that just as Reverend has just said, that despite what we go through as young guys and as young everyone, Jesus is the answer and Jesus is the solution. And we cannot just stay there, just as in Kings, the way the beggars were saying, we cannot just stay here and die. We have to go back to the city. If they let us leave, we will leave, So it doesn't matter whatever you're going through, you have to speak out, We cannot just read what is in your mind. You have to speak out. And like I said, Jesus is the answer, man.
And what would be your advice to the young people? Perhaps someone is facing a challenge that they feel they're not able to handle, and from the discussion today, you've had all aspects of how they can be better. What would be your advice to the young people?
Well, to the young people, I would say life is life, We all go through the same thing. But what distinguishes us from one person to the other is how we handle it. We have to speak out, we have to voice our voices, so that I cannot know what you're going through until you tell me, And above it all, just trust God and put all your faith in Him.
And just from now, what you've learned from this discussion, what playlist are we expecting in these final minutes? Of course, it's time to finish this. And what have you prepared for us?
Well, I've basically prepared music that will still edify the body of Christ, just to tell you that Jesus Christ is able to do everything, and He's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all the things that we can think of. And the first song that I'm going to play is called Anaweza, just to tell you that Jesus Christ is able to do it, by Muhanji.
And I'll be letting you do your thing just right about now. But then this time now is for everyone to enjoy themselves. I hope every person has been able to learn one thing or the other. Just briefly before we conclude this, I'll be taking just one comment from you. What have you been able to learn just in 5 seconds?
Okay, I've learned to speak out my mind, because when you just keep quiet on something, it haunts your mind.
What have you been able to learn?
If at all we have any problem, we have to seek for the psychologist so that you can be good.
All right, what have you learned today?
I've learned to take care of my mental health and reaffirm others.
What about you? What have you learned today?
I've learned that people care, so just speak out.
And you, what have you learned today?
That Jesus is the answer of everything.
Interesting. What have you learned, big man?
To speak out what is in my mind, because nobody knows what is in my mind.
That is interesting, huh? What have you learned today?
Okay, I've learned that every situation has a solution.
That's interesting. Today.
That I am still work under construction and I should be patient with myself.
Interesting to hear. I know you also finalize. What have you learned today?
I've learned never to give up too soon. Yeah.
Never give up too soon. That is what many people have learned from here. And I think everyone has been able to pick one or two things. The young people speaking out, and our panelists, of course, putting everything there in us bridging the gap on mental health. And most of the comments coming in that we've been able to learn one or two things. It's a big conversation.